We're continuing to follow this breaking news that there has been an arrest and a capture made in the Benghazi terror attacks of September 2012, and that this man, this alleged terrorist, is on his way back to the United States. We don't have a timeline on that yet, but we do know that he was captured on Sunday, and as the details continue to come in, we're learning a little bit more about the significance of this arrest. The name of this man is Abu Khatallah. He's the one, as we have been talking about over the last several minutes, that told the New York Times back in October that he didn't have anything to do directly with this attack in Benghazi, but also showed very little remorse for what transpired there in the murder of 4 Americans. Joining us now, FDD Gartenstein-Ross, a Senior Fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, who takes a look at different terror groups all across the world. FDD, tell us a little bit, if you can, about Ansar al-Sharia, the state of that group now, and how it's grown really over the last several years since the terror attacks of September 2012.
Ansar al-Sharia is an Islamist group that came to being in the wake of the revolution that overthrew Gaddafi. You also have a linked group in Tunisia called Ansar al-Sharia in Tunisia. But Ansar al-Sharia, the Libyan branch, is widely believed to have been at the lead of the attack on the U.S. consulate that killed Ambassador Stevens. It's also a group that has connections to a wide variety of other Islamist and jihadist groups in the country, including some of the training that's going on in the south and that really concerns Libya's neighbors. Just
real quick here, as we look at the state of the group, and many are speaking of this man, again, Ahmed Abu Khatallah, as the head of that group. Is this a group that has many different people in charge? Is there a central figure in charge and it's organized around that central figure? How is it set up?
It seems to have central leadership as well as regional commands. Look, these groups, both Ansar al-Sharia in Libya and also Ansar al-Sharia in Tunisia, are a bit secretive about how they're structured. But you've had members who've talked to the media, and from that we can glean a bit about the command structure. But one of the ways that you can tell that it's secretive is there's actually a debate even among experts as to whether Ansar al-Sharia in Libya should be considered a single group or whether it should be considered 2 groups with headquarters in Benghazi and Derna. That shows you that the command structure is a little bit opaque. But at any rate, it does seem to have a centralized command in addition to regional commands. There's a big debate about how many members it has. Often when estimates are given as to how many fighters any jihadist group has, so a lot of the estimates seem to be more than anything spitballing.
Interesting. You know, we're inviting you on, David, to talk a little bit about what's happening in Iraq, in the Middle East. And obviously this is part of one major story, which is the growth of terrorism, not only in the Middle East and Syria and Iraq, but also across North Africa as we pay attention here in Benghazi. I have to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back from that, I want to ask you about the growth of terrorism in that swath of the world and what it means to the United States. We'll be right back with more. More in this breaking news of an arrest and capture of a main suspect in the Benghazi terror attacks and murder of 4 Americans back in September of 2012. That suspect on his way back to the United States now on a Navy ship. We're piecing together more details on that. In the meantime, I want to invite back FDD Gartenstein-Ross, a Senior Fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. And FDD, we were going to talk a little bit about Iraq, but let's bring these stories together. The state of terror and the growth of terror in the world today. We're taking a look at Benghazi, the chaos there, the swath of North Africa that is certainly under fire by Islamic militants, then over to Syria and the spread of Syria and Islamic militants into Iraq. Obviously, there's different groups at work, different people at the head of these organizations. But how do you see them together when you look at the state of the war on terror and what it means to the United States?
I think that's very important, the question that you put to me. You're looking at the bigger picture, that overall a lot of observers looking at the advance of ISIS, the Islamic State of Iraq and Asham in Iraq, believe that they're overextended, that they're inevitably going to have reversals, and I think that's correct. But if you look at the overall picture, there's more and more countries in which you have these periodic jihadist advances, capturing territory, implementing an extreme brand of Sharia law, and then retreating and regrouping. It's happening in the countries you mentioned, but also in Somalia, where al-Shabaab just carried out 2 days' worth of slaughters in Kenyan cities, attacking outside of their direct area of operations. It's also happening in northern Mali, where you had a jihadist takeover, a French intervention pushed them back, but now they're regrouping and carrying out IED attacks and periodic offensives. Overall, that has a very destabilizing effect, and that's why we shouldn't really have comfort in the fact that ISIS is probably going to have to retreat in Iraq.
And that's the big question. What does one arrest then mean for some of the broader picture that we're still and going to continue to look at? David, I know we're limited with time today on this breaking news, but appreciate your expertise, and you're welcome back anytime. Thank you so much.